Hi, it's Mike from Apollo, and we are here for week 1, 2, 3 of the Build Your Go-to-Market course. And in previous weeks, you will have figured out who's your customer. Week 2, the message for your customer. Today, it's all about the CRM, the single source of truth for who your customer is going to be. We're actually going to build a CRM system. We're going to focus on the very basics, but the critical elements: lead capture, deal creation, pipeline. These are all going to happen in this video. So what's really important for you as a founder is that you're going to take different things like your web app, your CRM, we're going to connect them together. We're going to ensure that when people come into the top of our funnel and they start coming into the middle of our funnel, that they're all existing in one place. Sounds like so simple and so easy, but I can't tell you how many times I've gone into startups, founders, early stage companies, and the data's a bit all over the place. So what I'm proposing is we're going to start it clean and we're going to connect with, this is like the plumbing of CRM, of growth, of going to market. It's a really important moment. It's a little bit more technical than the first two parts of this course. So be ready. We're going to get on the tools. If you're watching this video, I would actually suggest have your tools open so you can pause and go through it and do it at the same time. Of course, there'll be lots of activity sheets and guides and helpers. So look below in the description for all of those details. Okay, let's start sharing the screen. Let us get down to the business of creating. Okay, so what we're looking at here is Zoho CRM. You, of course, know Zoho. They do CRM. They do so many tools and applications, and you'll actually get to see some of them in action here. If you don't have Zoho, I suggest particularly become a free member of the Founders Union. I'll put the link in the description because you get extra credits to use Zoho CRM. So this is what you want to end up with. You want to end up with a CRM dashboard, which gives you a sense of your deals, calls, what are the tasks, meetings, and we're going to get into some analytics as well. So all of these things are really about you consolidating all that customer data together. So I'm going to show you how we get to this. I'm going to show how we get leads from your amazing landing page into here. And we're going to talk about how they go from a lead to a deal. Now we look at the pipeline overall. We are only going to do the basics. We're not going to get into the more sophisticated stuff. That's a whole course in and of itself. But what you will be ready to do is create CRM system. You'll be able to create a lead system and get your go-to-market engine ready to go. So let's just set the context first. Okay, we've been using this company I created called FieldOps AI. I created it just for this course. Doesn't exist in the real world, but they deploy different trades and technicians on site to building and maintenance projects. So it's all about a lot of moving parts and making life easier. So this is just the frame of reference. If you've done week 1 and week 2, you'll remember this, of course. So here what we're doing now is moving into the page for the CEO. You'll remember that I was really big on talking to specific roles, specific ICPs, and creating value for them, talking in their language. So of course, here for the CEO, we're talking about ROI. For someone in middle management at headquarters or somebody who's in the field at the building site, we had very different messages, different tools for trust, different calls to action. I'm just going to focus on this one to demonstrate how we're going to move from what's in the website to what's in your CRM. So for a CEO, he is very interested, she is very interested in calculating their ROI. So this is what that tool might start to look like. So you supply some information about the project and you can discover how FieldOps can help you. So we're doing what I call the creation of value, and you're giving it forward, paying it forward. You're saying, hey, we're going to help you figure out how much value we can create, maybe better understand your business at the same time. Now, the key thing here is they've done a great ROI calculation, and we will have some sort of mechanism like get a full report via email. I'm sure you've done something like this recently yourself. So then we would move to a page that looks like this. So we've talked to the CEO, we've calculated the ROI. We've now said, hey, you can get your full ROI forecast delivered to you, and we'll give you some extra information to help you and to enrich the offer. And what's important to note here, there's a bit of a value exchange. What we're saying here at Field Ops is, hey, we created value for you. In exchange, we'd like your personal details, your contact details, so that we have a relationship with you. So this is an important thing. You do need to weigh up, have I created enough value to warrant, will they really want to give me their email address? So often when I see growth teams looking at their go-to-market, now we don't have many signups, you might find that they didn't give enough value in the tool. So therefore people don't want to fill it out. Everything might be working. The conversion rates just might be very, very low. That might be because you just didn't offer enough value up front. So you have to ask yourself, is there something so great that is only coming through that email? If that's the case, then you're going to start getting forward motion through your funnel from top to the middle of your funnel. So what's going to happen here is they're going to enter this, all the details for this form, and they're going to hit send me the ROI forecast, and they're going to get an email. Now, the critical thing that I want to point out here is we want this record to exist here. We want to see people, and I'm now going to go from the home page into the lead page of Zoho CRM. And what you'll see here is we've got a ton of leads in this lead inbox. So this is where we want them to end up. So let's go back here. So this is the website. This is for Field Ops. The CEO says, look, there's a lot of value in this ROI forecast. I do want the PDF sent to my inbox. They're going to hit send. They're going to provide us their details. So now what we have to do is make sure that those details do not go and live in some hidden database. Maybe it goes onto the website's database and nobody in marketing has access to it. Or the CTO's out and you don't have access. Or maybe it goes somewhere else, just into one individual's inbox. That's not this critical idea of having a single source of truth for your CRM. You need all the leads living in one place. You need all the deals in one place, all your pipelines in one place. It's really essential. Otherwise, you can't get sort of a sense of how the business is going. You can't do the more advanced things of looking at the conversion rates between steps, looking at time to cash, predicting revenue, all of that. It's all going to come from having this single source of truth. So we want this, right? So I'm going to show you the key plumbing that you do on your website, on your app, to drive it into your CRM. So what we want is we want an outcome where leads are coming in here to the lead inbox in Zoho CRM. I'm going to show you how to do it. Okay, so now we're looking at a regular contact form page. I want you to forgive me. I'm not going to put lots of fancy sign up, call to action information on here. We're going to get down to really practical focus on doing some engineering. Now, generally speaking, a contact form on a web app. So I'll give you a bit of context here. I'm using a Hostinger, which is a hosting and web app platform. I'm just using their website builder, and it comes with a contact form. So this is what you might find if you're not using Zoho's solution. Zoho actually has Zoho sites. So you can actually build the website in Zoho and then do all the lead management in Zoho. So that's a possibility as well. But given that many of you will be already have websites live that may not be in Zoho, I wanted to show you what that looks like. So the first thing you've got here is the default contact form that I get from Hostinger. So what you'll notice here is I can play around with the buttons and the settings. But what's interesting is that any entry, any submission to this form is just going to go into a contact list inside of Hostinger. So that's the issue that I'm talking about. We actually want it to go to our CRM. We want it to go to Zoho CRM in this example, because then we actually have all that customer data together. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to delete that and show you how we can put in a form into your application, into your website that is from Zoho. And most importantly, it's going to mean that everyone that fills this out is going to actually send their lead information to Zoho. So we truly do have a single source of truth. So you'll notice it's a bit different, and we have to put in some code into here, into the application, and that's what generates it. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay, so let's go to over here and let's go and have a look at a really important piece here, which is in Zoho. I'm going to go back a step. I'm going to show you how to get there. So you can get, if you don't have a CRM, go and get Zoho. If you're a member of the Founders Union, use your credits at Founders Union because you'll get a lot of extras as well. So what you want to do here is we're looking at leads and there's all the sample data here. So you want to go to the little cog wheel, the little setup wheel, and you want to open up this page here. This is like your settings and it's an index of them. And you've got all sorts of things that you can manage. The one you're looking for is here. It's called web forms. What this means is we are going to actually build a form here in Zoho, and that form is going to go on a completely different website. So this will mirror probably the setup that you have right now, where you've got websites and apps hosted by all sorts of different people. So they might be hosted by Vercel, Netify, you might be on GoDaddy, you might be on Lovable, Replit, any of those. This works exactly the same for everybody. So what I want to do is show you that you need to create a new form that's going to exist on your website. So when you create a new form, you get a basic view of it like this. And what you'll see here is that this is the form. This is a visual look at it. So we're going to edit the form. And this is really fun because what we can start to do now is drop and drag all of the information that we'd like to capture in what we call form fields. So I've just dropped in a form field here. I'd like to know what industry they are. And you can see here it's preloaded, but you'll notice there's a little cog here, and I can actually say, and this is an important one, mark it as a required field. So you might experience these moments when you go through a field on a site and you haven't filled in everything, and you go to hit submit, and it says, "Whoa, daddy," and you need to finish things off. So you would mark that as required, and notice it gets the famous little asterisks. So we're kind of building a form now. We can do something with some of the visual display, and change fonts. We can even, we can actually increase the font size. And you know what? We can add a nice color. Let's have a look here. What do we think? Let's make a big bright green one. That way it's going to stand out for sure. Okay, so you want to set the fields that you wish to capture because that information is going to end up back in Zoho, even though it was filled out on a different website. Now, one thing that I really would love to emphasize here is that you really do not want to increase such that you have like 10 or more fields. The chances that people will fill out a massive form is incredibly low. So I would actually invert it and say, what's the least of information you're prepared to accept in the value exchange that we talked about before? I would say, worst case scenario, just get their email address, get their opt-in to receive another one at the worst case scenario. Okay, so we've created a form. We're thinking, okay, this is pretty groovy. What we do is we go to next, and you'll notice here I've already set a URL that this is going to be on. So it's going to be /Zoho on my website. And here's some important options. You can redirect to a new URL once they've completed. You can have a thank you page or just a splash message like thank you. I'm just going to go for a simple splash message. Don't make this too complex. We want speed in our go-to-market. We don't want to try and get everything pixel perfect. So you'll notice here I've taken this source code using the copy function here. And then what I'm actually going to do now is I'm going to go in here. I'm going to change this code. Let's see what happens. Boom. We've now got a green one, and it's mighty green, I must say, but we've also got the industry field in there. Okay, so I can save this. So what I've done now is I've got the form field, and you can fine tune it so it looks just like the one would on your website. I fine tuned it. I've made it the minimum amount of fields. We've got 5 simple fields, which is pretty good form. I kind of would like 3 or 4, but 5 is fine. And what we're going to do now is we're actually going to push this, save this live, so it goes onto a live URL. We're going to create a lead, and then we're going to follow that lead's journey into the CRM. The important thing here is whatever you do, keep it simple, test like crazy, because it would be nothing worse than everyone filling out your form and you're not capturing the leads properly. Okay, so we need to go over to our website. So here it is. It's apolloadvisor.com/Zoho. And let's see if I refresh my browser. What we're hoping for is a little bit more green. We want to see that extra field. And there it is. So Mike Incorporated is the name of the company. We're going to go for Mike. Yes. We're going to go Parsons. Yes. Let's pick an industry. Optical networking sounds like the place to be for me. And boom, we hit submit. We got thank you for your response. So there you go. They were on our website. We drove a lead. Maybe your social, your content, maybe your paid media is all driving in. They want the ROI calculator. Let's now go back and let's actually refresh here and let's see if we're starting to see the population of that lead coming in. Hey, and look, here it is. So let's open up the lead. So I want to pause here and just remind you of what's happened. We were, as a potential prospect, we're on apolloadvisor.com/Zoho. You can see that here, but we are now a lead here in crm.zoho.com. This is so elegant. This means that anytime you go to market, every form should be hooking back into your Zoho CRM every single time. Because what you want to be able to do is you want to be able to jump on here and have a look at your prospects. You can create all sorts of different views and so forth. There's one view I really like here that's like, let's have a look here. This is groovy. You can have photos. You can do all sorts with it. So here we go. We got our Mike Inc. has come in. It's now in our CRM. This is really powerful because we've made plumb things together. Every go-to-market should have this practice. Okay. So let's go and have a look at what's going on here. Now, if we had asked all of these details, they would be all populated. We can also do something called lead enrichment. So you can actually go and call in third-party data about that person. So you might only get their name, their title, company, and email, but with that information, we can actually use public information to populate that profile so you can know a lot more. That's another course. We'll do that some other time, but we've got our basic CRM record. And for example, if you had a call with them, you could actually fill out some of these details when you're on the call as well. So you've now got that permanent record. Okay. So here we go. We've got this record. And I think the big thing that we want to do here is looking at this record, we want to start like doing business with them, and we hit the big convert button. So in this case, I've actually already done this before. So it's recognized that, so it's super smart. And what we want to do now is we're going to combine those contacts. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to create a new deal for this account. This is a huge step. So what we've effectively done is we've taken a prospect who was outside of the company, new to the company. We gave them some value in the ROI calculator. They requested a copy via email. They've now come in, and there may be another moment here which converts them into a lead. You may have done a call or a second email. You can program all of that. But let's say we did a call with them because they wanted an expert follow-up call to the ROI calculation, and it was worth, let's put an extra zero. Let's make it worth $50,000. Let's actually add a close date to this. They're now qualified, and we can add some other details as well, but this will keep us going. So now what's really important is a lead has gone into a deal. So you shouldn't create this deal unless there's a real commercial opportunity. And there's a whole science to lead scoring, pipeline management, what's qualified, what needs analysis, etc. That's not for today. Let's just move fast. Let's just have this growth system, our go-to-market in place. So this is really cool. We now have someone who we didn't know is now in our pipeline. You can see here that Mike Inc., it's qualified. It's the big $50,000. Let's say something came out of our qualification call, and we can actually move them into a needs analysis. Maybe that they want to go into a further diagnostic step. Maybe there's some sort of quick scan health check that is a bit different to the ROI calculator. And let's say that you've decided that after providing that they are ready to be moved into a more mature deal cycle. So this might be your first person that you spoke to, very common in B2B, is an initial contact, maybe the user, but maybe they're not the buyer. And now we're starting to get into the decision-making unit, the DMU, and you might want to do another call and you discover, oh, actually, you're talking to head of engineering, but they report to the CTO. So we need to get the CTO sign off. And in fact, maybe we need to actually speak to procurement or compliance or so forth. We had those calls, things are feeling good, and they have requested a quote. So we drop them in here. So what starts to happen is you move through a deal, moves through your pipeline. So of course, any good pipeline gets to the pointy end of the season, the negotiation reviews, and it's either marked as won or closed. You can have other variations that fit your business here. So what we've now moved from is the idea that we have leads, which is here, all in Zoho CRM. Now we're moving into deals in our pipeline. Now, the great thing about a well-managed lead and deal pipeline is that you will start to understand the tempo, the rhythm of your growth. This is particularly important to B2B because, of course, sometimes there's a need for calls and emails, plans, proposals, checklists, all of that good stuff. So all of that can happen as part of your pipeline. We sometimes refer to that there are certain gates need to occur at certain steps. So you can't put everybody in proposal if you haven't done the diagnostics. That's the really important thing. Now, what becomes really interesting here is over time, as this data is enriched, you're going to get certain KPIs. You might see that there's different views of the data. So you can actually really start to group all of them all by who's like your best salesperson. You've got cadence, which is like rhythm. Like there's so many variables you can do with your pipeline. So the most important thing to do here is treat this record as the truth. I have this saying that I often share with founders. If it's not in Zoho, it didn't happen. And what I'm really doing there is saying, I don't care if you saw the prospect at an event. I want to see that that touch point happened in the CRM. The perfect thing is that the head of growth can look into a deal record and see the complete picture at a glance. In fact, as a build on this, I don't know we're talking about building a go-to-market, but here's a really killer secret. You should have a pipeline once they convert into an active customer. So you can go through onboarding, first 90 days, the first QBR with them, upsell, cross-sell, renewal. So that also is a pipeline. So imagine if your customer's been with you for 9 months and you could see, how did we meet them originally? And that record, that activity, that event is inside this individual record here for Acme Inc., right? That would be amazing. If you could see all of that history here, all of those records, this is what a rich single source of truth looks like. And what you can do with that then is you can start to do all sorts of interesting analytics, forecasting, time to cash, time to close. And instead of guessing your sales numbers for the next month, you can know them. You can predict them with a degree of confidence. Okay. So what we also have in here, of course, is we can move into setting up forecasting. Actually, you can run your campaigns out of here. So what's really crazy about Zoho is it has so many apps. You could have built the site with this. There's so many tools in here that could be all interconnected. This could be like your business engine, I guess. So what have we done today? We have made sure that this lead created on this site with its very bright green box, which I would never do, but it's a bright green box like that. We've made sure that it is populating in our CRM. We've taken the lead, which was over here, and we've actually got it turning up, single source of truth. Then we converted it into a deal, looked at it into a pipeline. We now have a growth engine. It's simple. Lots of advanced things you can do here in Zoho that I've alluded to. There's lots of things you can do around making sure that you have, your top, middle, bottom of funnel, having a pipeline, not only for new business coming in, but for existing customers. So you see that cross-sell, upsell. You want to connect all of your paid, earned, and owned marketing activities driving in at the top of that funnel. You want them all coming in. But that's for a future state. Today, we made this really fundamental connection. What we did is really created a single source of truth. Now, the reason this single source of truth is going to serve you so well in the future, when somebody says what works, what doesn't, you'll have an answer. When somebody says, should we do this, or how many customers that, or when will we have cash for this, all of those answers can come from something like we just set up in Zoho CRM. You have that chance, you have that possibility to create that level of clarity. Your enemy here is that data is in many different buckets in silos, and you can't answer a question because you're like, oh, well, that data is over there, I don't know, and that data is over here. Build a single source of truth, build that connection between what you're doing off-site and off-system so it all comes into one system. Do this, you'll start to see the patterns of growth, and you can learn from those, and every sprint do things just a little bit better. All right, I hope you enjoyed week 3 of Build Your Go-to-Market. I hope you enjoyed building a growth system. I'll see you next time.